Science, exercise, nutrition, health, energy, passion. 1 year, no beer. This is the 1 year no beer podcast, where you will find all the latest tips, tricks, and hacks for a way to live better.
Welcome to the show. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you.
Why don't you give us a little bit of background into who Tom Kiely is?
Sure. So, as Rory already pointed out, my name's Tom. I'm 25 years old. I've just finished very recently the 90-day 1 year no beer challenge, which I'm incredibly excited for. That I've been able to achieve that.
What sort of age were you when you started drinking?
I mean, yeah, like I said, I was sort of around that 16 when I first started dabbling in it. But by the time, it was sort of a regular thing, I suppose, again, pretty normal. 18 years old is the legal age over here, just so everyone knows. So, you can go out, clubbing and that sort of thing when you're 18. So I suppose, I did finish high school and that when I was 17. And then when you're 18 in your first year at uni, you go out and go clubbing and do that sort of thing and sort of hit it pretty hard. So I'd say that's when I first started making it a regular part of my sort of weekly routine and started living for the weekends to drink, I suppose, if you would. So
pretty normal. Would you call yourself a pretty normal social drinker?
I definitely was at the time. I thought that's kind of what was normal. It definitely is normal to go out every weekend and do that sort of thing. So I definitely felt, with all the sort of negatives that came with drinking. And, the thing is when you're 18, there's a lot of, there's a very different social dynamic shifting, from a high school environment to, you're going out every Saturday night, so there's obviously, it's very different, but I would say I was definitely social at that point, and that's definitely where it started. So it felt really normal and natural because everyone around me was, friends my age and that were all doing it as well. So
absolutely, pretty common stuff. And so lead us up to when you decided or how you found 1 year no beer. So what was going on? The drinking started to get a bit crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Look, it's definitely a gradual slow burn for me. It started very much it was a really good way to unwind and relax. And part of why the program spoke to me really clearly because of how I'd heard Andy on a separate podcast actually that I was listening to trying to sort of look at curbing my drinking habits, speak so clearly about how it was just becoming like a party or everyday life in terms of not that I was drinking every day or anything, but just that it was rolling from one day to the next. I was constantly tired, feeling lethargic. And I think, like I said, it was very gradual. So from 18 being social all the way through to, going through university, and it was, kind of weekly. And then, it sort of shifts to, being not such a social thing. I started kind of using it to sort of drink by myself every now and then. And that started to become a lot more regular than I wanted it to. So, it just led to some sort of, people who have been in that situation might understand, but it can lead you to some sort of darker places. So when Andy was speaking, and obviously when I found the website, just all the, just the way the idea of drinking was sort of spoken about, it really resonated with me because I felt like I wanted to get control rather than be sort of looked at or, in such a negative, restrictive light, like a lot of these other places were doing. It was very much like a, take your control back, which is what really appealed to me about it.
Yeah, trying to look at it as an advantageous thing as opposed to put baby in the corner. You've been a very naughty boy. You've been drinking too much, you naughty boy. Instead of that, it's hey, look, there's a whole world out there where stuff is not involved, and actually, when you break your relationship with it, it can be amazing. So.
Absolutely. And that's, I think it was, one of the things that was said really early on when I found out about the program was you don't have there's nothing to sort of give up, but you're gaining so much back. And that was what really kind of spoke to me because I felt like I needed a real reason, to look on the other side of what it would be like to not drink rather than just being if you don't do it, you're going to be this boring person who's not following the crowd. You're not going to fit in socially, all my friendships revolved kind of around it in some capacity, at different levels, but it was all brought back to drinking at different stages, knowing that there was a lifestyle that I could potentially live without it really spoke to me.
Yeah. Funnily enough, that gives me perfect timing because I want to flick over to a video of you very early on in the challenge, and you were really worried about exactly that. You were worried about, well, I'll flick to the video and then we can see. Hopefully, I'll flick to the video. Let me just say that. Technology never seems to work the right way, so let's give this a shot. Hang on. We'll go to share screen, maximize that little bad boy, turn it up. So here is, hang on. Laptop's probably going to die in a minute. That'll be fun. Oh. So I'm just going to flick back to us, hopefully, if this works. Boom. So I love that because it shows how nervous you were about, posting, and we can talk about that. You know, you're coming out your shell, posting into 1 Year No Beer, how that helped you grow and how you felt that. Because I think if you watch your videos of your timeline, you really see how you just gel because you got so much positive feedback. You know, once you first reached out to the group, I think you were inundated with responses and people who are giving and sharing, and that's really what the community is all about. And well done you for posting that first video. But also it shows just how much fear there is out there, and I know so well, you know, about going to these social events and not drinking. So I'd love to hear about how you felt at the time when you did that video, and then how you feel now that you've overcome those things, how you felt afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. Like that video was, I felt a little bit nervous posting it just because I didn't really know how to articulate, like how I was sort of feeling at the time. Like you mentioned, it was early on for me in the challenge. It was like a couple of weeks, like maybe not even that. So I was really still a little bit hesitant. I was sort of new to the community, but like you just saw in the video, I was able to reach out and ask for sort of a bit of guidance on how to sort of handle doing my birthday, which I had like already sort of pre-planned sort of around the same time or just before taking the challenge. So it was already like I wasn't even really sure what was going to happen with it. But when I did reach out for that guidance, I was really like excited and sort of fueled, even if you will, just by the responses that I got. It was all really encouraging and offering like different suggestions, like what about this or this. It was very much like a, you know, what do you think would be best, and like really sort of jogging my my creative juices were like, wow, like this is going to be really cool. Like it's actually going to be a really positive experience for me. And then, Andy actually responded in a live video he did that day, pretty much just saying like, you know, this is, you know, here's some things you can do. If you can do this part of the challenge, you're going to absolutely smash the rest of it. And that really did give me confidence because like other people in the sort of group as well were sort of echoing that in a really positive way. So, but yeah, I felt a bit nervous, but it was quickly sort of, those feelings quickly went away, and there was no doubt in my mind after that I was going to do it without drinking. So I was really excited, and yeah, it went off without a hitch actually. We all went to the bar and just had a really good night, and I didn't drink, and it was just a really good time, and I really enjoyed it. And, yeah, I couldn't have done it without it, because for me, like going in, I wasn't sure how I would ever tackle a situation like that. Like that was the sort of thing that would have held me back from trying something like this before, you know, like something on the calendar that you don't want to have to go through without potentially drinking. So yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm looking at you right now, and I'm thinking, and I'm sure more of you out there will be thinking the same thing too, and that is, God, I wish I'd taken an extended break and seen alcohol for what it was when I was 25. And I think that goes for anything: alcohol, drugs, any kind of mind-numbing substance that you're using to escape from life. And the fact that you're doing this at 25, I mean, it just shows. I think you're going to have a wonderful life ahead of you, Tom, because you're already challenging these things, which are social norms, in a way to try and improve yourself and find, you know, a better way to live. So, really fantastic stuff.
I appreciate that a lot, Rory, because for me, like, I was in a situation where, like, you're kind of battling against, like, I don't know how to, I think conditioning is a word that's used a lot, is like you sort of, one foot is over here saying that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but like in my head, I sort of felt really differently about it. So I knew that I needed to find something really strong to help me like take that action. And I think the way that the challenge is sort of painted and portrayed, it really gives you that sense of achievement, and it's not, you're not being sort of ridiculed for it, but rather like encouraged. And I think that's really important. I don't know, like I can only speak from my experience, but like, you know, stuff like the daily emails and that, just that little bit of motivation every day, like that was more powerful to me than being told like that I might have a problem, which is like what everyone wants to tell you. Yeah. But it's just not the case, as I've learned like quite early on and speaking to other people. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. So you were talking earlier about the things that you're doing, and actually, no, before we go into that, so tell me a bit about your journey from signing up to 1 Year No Beer, how you found it, and then through the 90-day challenge.
Yeah, for sure. So I knew that I wanted to do, like I said earlier, I discovered 1 Year No Beer through another podcast that I was listening to, and through sort of the language and the way the challenge was being described, I felt that it would definitely be something that would help me. So when I joined up, I sort of looked at the website for a long while and was debating whether or not I could actually do it. And the reason for that is because I knew that if I was going to commit to doing like the 90 days, I would really want to commit and do it, because I don't know how I would going through the challenge and potentially like falling back again. However, like I've since learned that setbacks and slip ups and stuff like that are all a part of it, and you learn through that sort of thing. At this point though, I was very raw. So, I definitely went in early. I just went for it, and I decided, like, just like a Band-Aid, I was just going to give it a try and give it my absolute best shot. And I think the biggest thing early for me was just persistence. I knew that there would be tricky times and that sort of thing, but yeah, I just think I was really trying to learn and delve into the material that was in front of me. Like I read a few different like articles, even a few books and stuff like that, just stuff to really keep my mind occupied on what I was trying to do and sort of be very aware of what I was trying to do. And I think slowly, like, you build that confidence and that willpower through, and obviously like the group and stuff is a really good resource. Whether it's in one of the forums or the Facebook group and stuff, like it's really helpful to have that support there, knowing there are other people that not only that can help you, but you can actually lend your advice to them. Giving back and also getting back what you give, I think it makes it so much more rewarding, and it put me on the right path pretty early. Like that video really helped set me up for the rest of the 90 days, because I knew that I had people support and I could also contribute something back, you know, from my own experiences. So yeah.
No, absolutely. And there's so much good science behind that, people can, that you get so much more out of giving back and helping others and supporting others than you do actually just from trying to help yourself. It's one of the best things. Yeah. So
for sure.
Yes. So now you've achieved your 90 days. So what physical and mental things changed for you during this challenge? And was there anything you were particularly surprised by?
Yeah, for sure. Like there was a lot that I knew I wanted to change, and a lot of it did, like through the course of the 90 days. So the biggest thing for me that I did write a little bit of a post, or like a sort of blog style post at the end of it, and the biggest thing I spoke about was like mental health, like the mental health difference for me. I've felt consciously like anxious and like, I don't know if depressed is too strong a word, but I definitely didn't feel like at all like myself, like not only while I was drinking, but afterwards. So not drinking lifted that fog, like, and it made such a difference. And I figured out early that if I was able to, like those changes in my mental health, you can use to propel you to do more things that you want to do. Like I could use that extra energy to go running, which I wasn't like keen on before. I could use that extra energy to like read or watch a movie or just do anything else, like just spend more of my time just being me and just doing the things that I like, rather than like chatting myself to the bed on a Sunday. And just things like that are just so like they build that desire to want to keep going. Yeah. So there was that, the mental side of things. And the other thing obviously is physically, you start feeling a lot better. You know, it was actually really funny the first week of my challenge, because I just come off doing like a big, like, you know, 5 nights of drinking in 7 days or something. I was really sick for the first week of my challenge. So that kind of like was a really timely reminder early on that like maybe if you, and I haven't been sick since, like really, So it was a good lesson, and physically I started to pick up after that first week. Like I started feeling like I had more energy, and you just feel a whole lot better. I was able to go to the gym more. All that stuff that like they talk about, it actually is real. The stuff and the benefits that people speak about.
We're not actually selling snake oil here. Yeah, exactly.
No, and that's right. And you start feeling better. I mean, some people say that they lose weight, some people don't lose as much, but it doesn't. For me, I was lucky enough that I did start feeling better and in better shape. But it's a knock-on effect from the other things you're doing. And regardless, like if you like, I was the same as everyone else in the early days. I didn't want to drink, but I would eat. Like I would eat whatever. I would just do other things to distract myself, and that's totally okay as well. You know, you can start doing that because in the long run for you, it's way better. And for the challenge ahead, it's those early days getting through them are really important. So yeah, physically you start feeling a lot better, and you just start feeling different. It's hard to explain, but people talk about that magic. It is there. And it allows you to deal with or just live the life you want to live in a much better capacity. It sounds preachy, but it is 100% true.
It's difficult. It's difficult not to sound preachy or evangelical about it because you do have this change. So when do you think that, because I sort of call that the epiphany, and normally we say it happens between for most people between 40 and 80 days. So for you, when did you feel that real change, that real epiphany? When did the light go on?
Look, it's hard. Like, I know that people speak about they have a moment. I mean, if I had to pick one, I think I posted about it in the group because I was like, this is so weird for me. But it was like a random Tuesday afternoon. I was like, I had a long day at work. I'm pretty sure it was a stressful day at work, or just as a day that would normally leave me feeling drained. But I was just in the supermarket, just walking around shopping, and I was just singing for no reason. And I just didn't know why I was doing that. And I was like, I actually don't feel unhappy. I feel really happy right now. And I think the biggest kicker was normally when I'm in that sort of zone, I had, or if I ever felt like that, can't say I ever sung in a supermarket, but I would have a really big reason. But I didn't I still had stuff going on in my life that I was sorting out. It wasn't there was everything was perfect for me. Not the case. I was just having a nice day, just singing, just enjoying life. And that's when I was like, man, I can really do this. This is real. So I was pretty happy about that, and I realized that might be a key turning point for me. That was about the 60th-ish day.
Yeah, brilliant. So I love that. And you mentioned about singing. That cues me up perfectly. So singing, were you singing how you like to sing in your other life, in the supermarket?
Not quite, because I actually wanted to, I didn't want my local supermarket to go out of business, so I kept it pretty light.
So I need to put everybody in the light because I absolutely love this. I'm a fan of this, and I will be definitely buying your EP. I will absolutely be getting a copy of that, and also welcome to as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to see what Tom does in his other life. Because in your day, in fact, we'll come back to this about the day job. So where are we now? Here we go. Let's try this. More technology. Hopefully you hear the sound. Turn it up, everyone. Turn it up. Introducing, is your name Tom Kiely in the band, or have you changed your name?
No,
it's Tom Kiely. All right, good. Just checking. It wasn't some kind of action figure. No, anyway, moving on. All right, here we go. Boom! I've got goosebumps. How awesome was that? So cool. So I need to flip back. Hang on. There we go. So cool. So cool. So that environment as well, especially that environment, must be very booze laden, and you're working late, and it's so easy because you're probably working bars or clubs or sometimes like that, things like that. How have you found that?
Yeah, for sure. My experience, I was going to local shows and loved my music before I was even in a band, years before I was in a bed, and it was a huge part of it. Just going out. Like a lot of the shows are 18 plus, so you go to a bar, you watch a band, you generally get drunk. So yeah, it's a huge part of it, and I think the biggest thing, I think there is a really good support network for people who are in music and stuff and don't drink as well. But yeah, there's definitely a culture that exists where people like to go out and have a big Friday or Saturday, or even, there's a lot of stuff on weeknights as well, because sometimes that's like, the best time for bands to play. So yeah, I'd be lying if I said that alcohol's not sort of everywhere.
Brilliant. It is absolutely everywhere. And so, how are you, have you done many gigs now? Well, through 90 days, have you done a few gigs and bits and pieces like that, not drinking, and how have you found it? How has the rest of the band found you not drinking?
Yeah, for sure. So I've done at least 3 through the 90 days. So that was including our launch show for the CD we put out 2 months ago. Can you plug it? Sorry, what's the name of the band? Sure, I'll plug it. So if anyone's interested at all, my band's called Patient 67. I'll put the link in the comments afterwards. And we put out a CD. It's like a 6-track EP release called 4 Walls, and that came out 2 months ago, which is really exciting. And a lot of hard work went into that. So I did the launch show, which is like a show we put together to sort of support the release. I did that while in the middle of the challenge, and if anything, it made it a lot better. You really remember the night, and it helps and we actually have guys in the band as well who a lot of the time will drive to gigs with their gear, at least usually 1 or 2 of them. So if I ever need someone to sort of have a chilled night with, like while we're playing a show, I've usually got at least one mate on deck with me. So I found that experience to be really good. It's just like when all your mates are in the crowd, having a big one, and you're sort of like a bit more restrained, even though you're the one that's like running around on stage like a madman. You have to get. Sometimes I think. Well, a lot of creatives would use alcohol as the way to get in touch with their more creative side, wine for writers and all that kind of stuff. And musicians definitely, the booze to help relax and stuff. And drugs and alcohol for musicians must be absolutely up there. But just getting onto the stage and getting into that performance mode. So I guess you're almost going to have to find ways to get into that state. And Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, about getting into peak state. And my wife, who was there recently, who walked along hot coals, and she was just like, I never thought I could possibly do that, but they get you into such a huge peak state, and no drugs or alcohol involved. So I guess you're going to have to be investigating some of that, especially if you're doing more and more touring, and tiredness kicks in, and you're like, oh, I'm not sure I can get up on stage. It's like willpower's lower. You need your peak state on. So that's your challenge. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. For me as well, like the other thing is like writing lyrics and stuff, or just doing anything. People will speak about writing, or like you said, Rory, like creatives in general. It's very much like I don't want to say that booze is like the fuel, but there's been times when I've like sort of been stuck for an emotion or an idea, and you would like kind of drink to bring that out. I don't think I ever did it on purpose, but it was just kind of like the natural thing to do. Like,
well, it quietens that, it quietens the loud part of the brain and brings that other stuff forward. So definitely. So meditation and things like that, and getting yourself into a peak state, that's what you're going to have to discover, or are discovering. Patient 67 and 4 Walls. Brilliant. Really excited. But very different day job, right? Working at the Department of Health. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I work, I work for the government as my sort of my day job, full time and stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess that was another part of it that really kind of resonated with me early on through the challenge, is that, there's people like who are doing this or taking on this challenge that, just work full time. Like, it's not like it's, they're still able to work effectively, be very good at their jobs in a lot of cases. I know obviously with yourself, like in the doing the broking and that sort of thing, it's like a huge responsibility, still doing that at a high level, but they're still having this like effect on you. Yeah. I was definitely in that boat. My job definitely allowed me to sort of be on cruise control when I needed it to be, but I didn't want to be in that state all the time, so yeah.
Brilliant. So, what does the future hold for you? You've just done your 90 days. Are you continuing on? Do you know what you're going to do?
It's a good question. I thought about this for a long time. I'm definitely going to continue to abstain for now. The moderation thing has been like a big sort of talking point, and I'm not going to rush back into it. I don't think I have no immediate plans to rush or make any decision on it. I definitely plan to abstain and stay helping out in the group, give my advice, and also, I know that's such a good contact. Like for me, if I ever need assistance with sort of continuing for me going forward, I'm also very much interested in looking at doing one of the Mastermind courses as well, because I really want to use this. I've said this to a few people as a really good platform for me to go forward and build on what I've learned these 90 days. So I don't plan on, just stopping, because I want to keep going.
That's it. It's once you've peeled back that part of the onion, and then you just start, you start to uncover more and more and more. And, that's what's perfect and why we created the Masterminds in the first place, is because we realized that so many people are, almost numbing life with alcohol and cruising through. And then when you remove that, you realize, hang on a minute, there are things I'm not comfortable with or I'm not certain of in my life. And what I want to do is I want to take the time to go and make sure that I'm going in the right direction. So that's exactly what our Mastermind is all about, the 6 weeks to your best self, which, by the way, we are full for May. So excited, fully booked, all done and dusted. So normally we get into the first week or so, but we've maxed out. But there may be some more news. I don't know if we can squeeze some more time out of Andy's diary and do another one, but we'll see. If you weren't so far away in Australia, we'd get you down to the one-day live event in a few weeks' time, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. But unless you get some kind of gig in London, how's the EP doing? How is your album launch doing?
Yeah, it's been really positive. We've really had a lot of good fun, like playing our new songs, and it's definitely kept me really busy. Like that was one good thing about it. And I think having that outlet, like that music outlet, was really important for me, because it allowed me to sort of focus on like because I also do a lot of PR like work and stuff with the band as well. So it allowed me to sort of put my energy into that. And it's had good feedback and good response. So it's really exciting.
Woo-hoo. Well done, Tom. What an absolute inspiration you are. Any final words you would like to say on your journey or anything so far before we finish up? It's been so good to have you on, and I wish you all the best with the album, and love having you in the group. If you've enjoyed this interview, then come and join us in the group. You'll meet Tom; he's an absolute legend, come and help inspire some more people to make changes. Any final words from you, Tom?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks a lot, Rory, for having me on, and Andy as well, and the work you guys do. It was like when I first heard of 1 Year No Beer, like it was kind of like a little mini goal of mine to eventually have the chance to share like my story by doing the 90 days. So I'm really happy to have done that. And like just echoing what Rory said, join the group, get involved. It's really good stuff. And just thanks again for having me.
You legend. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to the 1 Year No Beer podcast. For a full list of episodes and to join in the challenge yourself, head on over to oneyearnobeer.com. oneyearnobeer.com.